All right, we are back for another segment of Sticks-N-ShyTalk. And, for this one, we want to talk about relationships and, kind of segueing off what we bounced off of last segment, the relationships between black men and black women and forming families and moving forward and how we pair and mate and how we get along. Because a lot of the issues we're seeing in the media and on social media, YouTube, is you get the impression we really don't get along very well. And part of that may be we don't really need each other as much as we used to. A lot of the marriage rates and family formation was a lot higher. Post-Reconstruction, Civil Rights era, Jim Crow. And, all of a sudden, the last 50 years, marriage rates have gone down. Baby mama rates have gone up. And, it's serious. So, there's a lot of acrimony and adversarial talk going around on social media that we just really don't need each other. And when it comes to dating and mating, a lot of sisters that I've seen and talked to other guys, they will lead with their credentials and their degrees. When they meet a guy, they'll say, "Oh, I've got a degree in this or that," and using that as a selling point that makes them a suitable wife or a credible mate. So I just wanted to get everybody's perspective on a lot of black women leading with their degrees, because a lot of black women are very educated, more educated on average than black men, more degrees, more post-secondary degrees. So is the education and degrees of black women these days, is that a selling point? Is that what the brothers are looking for? Is that something that would make a woman a more suitable mate to a man that's looking to marry? Miles, what do you think? Is that a selling point?
It's not to me. Honestly, to me, it's not a selling point. But, to a lot of people it is. And to a lot of people, they look for that. And I know people that's high on their list. Not for me. I could care less what degree you have or what money you make. You know what I'm saying? Because if we don't get along, we don't get along. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I could care less if you make $1 billion. Now, is it a nice plus? It's a wonderful plus.
It's a resume enhancer, right?
Without a doubt. Without that, it's at the bottom of the list. But yeah, no doubt. It's definitely the bottom of that sheet. But what we really got to do is find out what the women think about it.
Yeah.
So we brought Crissy back, Queen of Spades herself. And then we brought, the first lady of West Side herself, Miss K2W.
Also from the What's Going Down episode.
That's my mama.
That's my mama.
Miss Kimberly Watkins. So I'm gonna go Crissy first, right? Crissy, I know your work background. I know you're very successful outside of the cigar, business you have. I know work wise you're very successful. Oh. Do you feel like not necessarily with you married or whatever, but with other women you talk about, do they feel like that's a reason that they should be chosen more?
Well, I can't necessarily speak for all women because I don't necessarily ask my friends like what their degree background is necessarily.
So when they complain about dudes, they don't be like, "Yo, I got 2 degrees and I
why
cook
he
and
why
I
he
clean."
don't I got 2 degrees. Why he don't want to act right?
We don't have that conversation.
Yeah.
That's a conversation you guys have. We don't have that conversation.
Right, but I will say,
we see that as men, though.
I will say this: growing up, so my mom, she has her doctorate degree.
Congratulations!
And I watched her as I was growing. I watched her get her master's, and then I watched her get her doctorate degree. So I probably was a teenager when I went to her graduation, and I was crying. Like, that meant something to me to see my mom do that. She, her and my father, they didn't, last, and so she continued on, and it was 4 of us. So we had the single parent household moments, but my father was still there, picked us up every other weekend and everything. But just to both my parents' degrees were very important. My dad was the first person in his family to obtain a degree as well. So, but one thing that my mom always preached to me was, if you get a degree, then you'll have a better pool of men. So that's kind of how it was always said, is if you're looking for, you can either be like the basketball wife and just take what's given to you or something like that, or you can be more in control. And my grandmother was the same way. She was a librarian, but she was a stay-at-home mom when she was married to my grandfather. But she always preached, being a stay-at-home mom, but she always preached have a degree. Because if ever he leaves, you always have your degree to fall back on. So that was just what was told to us, is that no matter what, if all else fails in the relationship, then you can always use your degree to go and open up a door instead of you starting back from scratch.
What about you, Miss Watkins?
I agree with Crystal 100%.
So let me ask you this. Because of your degrees, does that mean that you're only going to date a guy that's comparable to what you have? I know you're married now, but let's hypothetically say before you got married, were you looking at that? Did that matter to you?
For me, and I think it's similar with a lot of women. They look, if they have that love for their father, typically they do look for someone that reminds them in certain ways like their father. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I really wanted, not necessarily from a degree standpoint, but I really wanted someone who I can sit and I can talk to, and I respect his business mind. You know, my father was an entrepreneur too, but he also was an accountant as well. Yeah. And so I wanted someone who I can kind of share these business ideas that pop up in my head, or that I can learn from. You know, and I do have to understand that you can't always seek someone that you're learning from all the time. But I definitely want someone where when they say something to me, I could be like, damn, I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. You know, just those aha moments. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it Sticks-N-ShyTalk. So my dad always said, you know, what good is it if, you know, you have sex or whatever, and afterwards you can't have a good conversation? Then what is that relationship?
I got a question. Kim, let's get down to the what they say, the nitty gritty. Yeah. So if a cat don't got an education and a woman has a further education, does a woman look down on a man who has less education, and do she use that to hold it over his head?
I disagree. I have a degree. I've been with someone that didn't have a degree. Mm-hmm. I believe in you should have the same mindset, meaning that get up and go and to conquer the world. Right. You don't have to have a degree to conquer the world. There are people that get out of jail and they have businesses and they make millions. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be that basketball player, that football player, that athletic person or whatever. I'm more about what's, like you say, when you get out of bed or when you go to bed, you can have a conversation with someone other than that sex was good. You know, you took, well, I don't have weed.
Substance.
Yeah. So the issue is, where I'm looking at it, is does the accolades and accomplishments of a woman, you know, when it comes to being a suitable partner or mate, does it have the same weight as the accolades or accomplishments of a man? Because I feel like we're judged differently. It's not the same. It's just different. The same way men are not judged on the same beauty standards as women are. We're just not. So
I'll never be fine.
Yeah, okay, I think you have to know what
I think it's a double standard. Yeah, and let's just be real about it. And as women, I think Crystal mentioned it earlier, like smoking in the lounge. As women, you know, I started back with just the guys, even before West Side or anything. Right. Being one of the few women that sit around and smoke. You didn't
Shout out to OG Kimberly Watkins.
You didn't have anybody to smoke with but the guys. So then when you start smoking, now, you know, I tell this story, Jay knows about, I went to a place in Dallas, and no, shout out to Dallas. I went to a place in Dallas, and I was just visiting because I was there for a job and a training. And I'm just talking with the guys, and this old cat just kept looking at me. And he mean mugged me every time I said something. And so the guy said, oh, he doesn't believe that women belong here. And I was like, what does that mean? I smoke. And so he started asking me questions about cigars, and because I could answer them, that made him more comfortable to communicate with me. So we live in a double standard as far as we can have 10 degrees and you can have that man with no degree, but first of all, the man is the head of your household. So guess what? It doesn't matter if he has a degree or not.
Right.
He's still the head of your household.
But a lot of women don't think that way.
A lot of women
Some
because
don't.
of this era don't think that
Because
way.
look, the reality of it is you can have two doctorates, your masters, you can have some certifications,
and your man works for waste
no,
management.
but if you are not attractive, most guys.
What
do you mean by attractive? That's a relative term.
It's very relative.
What
do you mean attractive?
because a man's attractiveness is totally different than a
I
woman's.
was getting to that.
Delvin's finna change his name from Delvin. They finna change you from Delvin the expert to Delvin the sexist if you don't fix this.
No, it's no stick. It is what it is. It's nature. I don't make the rules. Whatever attractive is to the average guy.
Can I say this though? I think attractive is a very overrated thing when we talk about that. I'm gonna tell you why. They got a lot of ugly fat people having kids every single day. And I don't think.
What's ugly? That's subjective.
But that's what I'm
What's
saying.
fat?
I agree with you. No, I agree with you. I think it's just not the Instagram model everybody wants. Most of those.
No,
people
I'm not even talking about IG model. I'm talking about just regular people because those IG
and those women are single. They in the spots with us.
those IG models. Look, man, look.
Even the regular people, they single, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they wonderful people, but they single, and we talk to them all the time.
The issue is does it carry the same weight? The same way it's more. It's different if your upper body strength versus hers. I don't see a woman be like, man, she's got a lot of upper body strength, man. I want her to be my kid's mother. We don't say that.
I don't know, man. My thoughts all over the place right now.
I think where you're going, I get where you're going, but let me say this: everybody's attractiveness is totally different.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're asking, does the woman have to have an educated man because she has 5 degrees?
Right.
I disagree with that because there are a lot of women who. First of all, there are a lot of women who just want a man.
Right.
So less long, they can be fat,
They
short,
don't care if they have
tall,
degrees.
bald. It doesn't matter.
Right.
They just want a man. So they can have the degree. The woman can have the degrees, and the man doesn't have to. But then there are a pool of women who will only talk to a certain educated type of guy. Sorry for them because they're missing out because there's a whole lot of other things other than me talking to you and using big words that attracts a woman that makes them,
Let me say this, and I won't use any big words. I'm going to talk about
expeditiously.
Since it came up, we do a group conference where we talk about the topics that we're going to talk about, and when we spoke about this, I started to think about it. And it's much akin to somebody who has never had something. When they get something, what do? They show out.
Both.
And so when we see women who are leading with their degrees, I think it's because so long women have been castigated to the lower. And so after so long being under someone's thumb, when you finally get, that power, it's like, well, no, fuck you. I have power now. Look at this. And I think it's just an acknowledgement or women wanting an acknowledgement or taking their acknowledgement that we have normally held above them. So I look at it just like as somebody who never had something that gets something that spend a bunch of money. Women, when they're getting degrees right now and they're on top of the world, they're like, hey, you guys were pouring 40 ounces on us in music videos not too long ago.
And also women for a long time have been the housewife.
Right.
The one staying at home while the husband goes to school, making sure they have a cooked meal, they're taking care of the kids.
We were told we couldn't do it.
So you couldn't do it. So I get it if a woman thinks that. I don't agree with it, but I get it if she thinks that because she has the degrees or a number of degrees or whatever she has that makes her stand out more than the man. I get it because you're correct. We have been pushed down so long that it's black women on top of it, not just being a woman, but being a black woman. We were the maid. We were everything.
Right.
We were the master's wife. I mean, mistress.
Yeah.
We were everything. So at the end of the day, it's understandable if it's not necessarily attractive to the next man who says, "Hey, I have to," she only wants somebody who has a doctorate. Okay, so be it. But you have to know where her background comes from, what she's used to understanding, what she's been through.
But isn't that an adjustment for the men though?
Right.
Well, I'll pose a question to y'all. What is so different about a woman saying she wants a man with a degree when y'all may say, "Oh, I want a girl who has big boobs or whatever"?
I'll say this. It's no different.
Be looking for something, but maybe they're looking for something.
It's no different. I have a friend of mine. It's preference, but I think at the same time you miss out with preference. If you put preference over purpose, you're going to lose. And I think I have a friend of mine who only talks to, and I'll tell you, if you ask him what does this girl have to have, and he'll tell you dark skin and big booty. And he's had some of the worst women in his life because they fit that's the only standard. And
that is why you're single.
And I think no, real talk, right? Real talk. And it's cost him a lot of money because but
if that's his criteria, right?
Then that's what he's going to get.
Then who are we to say that's wrong?
I can because I watched him go through turning terrible women. I've seen it.
Let's put this back on the men though, because now you have women that are more educated and more right? They're taking care of themselves. They're doing more things, and I don't think the men have adjusted to that.
But I think so. But hold on.
A lot of the men.
Hold on. Can I say something?
Hold on a second. Hold on, because I think it's a generational thing, and I think a lot of men haven't adjusted. They still want to go to work, come home, sit on the couch. And the women are out doing the same hustling and the same effort.
No, I think
the same thing that they do.
I agree with you because in a cigar lounge, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, Crystal was there. She wasn't paying attention, and I'm sorry, guys. It was so smoky.
Should have been paying attention, Crystal. Shame on you.
But
she always says
there was a man that we know that said, we were talking about the WAP, and then he turned
right on.
He said it so professionally. We were talking about the WAP.
He said,
wet ass pussy.
Wet ass pussy. And
I had to say
he went on. We were having a conversation. The point of the story is, he went to say he has a woman at home, and if she came home with any of that nonsense about anything else other than I'm gonna cook and clean, he wasn't having it. And I looked at him because I was confused.
I was not paying attention.
I was totally confused. Like,
I agree.
This dude is roughly in his 40s, and this is still your mindset.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
This is your mindset that we still, that's all in your head. It doesn't matter what his wife, and she has a good job, what degree she have, long as she comes home, cooks, cleans.
But I think that makes sense. It's a generational thing, and I think it goes back to what they've seen. And a lot of people, I have had these conversations where a lot of people say, "Yo, I want a woman just like my wife," and I say, "Well, I mean, like my mom," and I'm like, "Are you just like your dad?" You know what I mean? And the thing is, because they saw that,
say that again. Say that again.
I say it all the time. Like, I want a woman just like my wife, but are you just like your dad? Because that was their dynamic, right? And I think a lot of times you saw your mom 40 years ago, right? That was only doing the cooking and the cleaning, and your dad was out busting his butt every day, and you don't know what the dynamic was when you went to sleep. You know, when you close that door, you don't know what conversations, arguments, discussions they had about that. And I think that's the thing. And I think the things have changed. And I always say this, and I'm going to say it right here.
Nature never changes.
Nature never changes. But I think going back to the point of America now wanting strong black families, right? If it goes back to slavery, right? What was the first thing to do when a family bought a black family? They sent the dad to another family, broke up the families. They made the wife work because they can now educate the children to think the way that they want them to think. It went on at Jim Crow, and when they separated the families then, whether it be through war, whether it be through drugs, whether it be jail, it was a point of taking that away.
Don't forget this, Miles. What they would do too is emasculate the man and make him look weak to that.
Agreed, I agree, and I think now. The thing is, and I'm not knocking any woman that goes and get a degree and get a great job. Congratulations, you should. You know, you have the right to. You have now earned the privilege to do so. You're just as smart and powerful of us as we are in those situations. But I think also we got to quit using it as a division factor because that's what they want us to do. They want us to say, hey, you don't need us. And they want us to feel weak, like you said, in that situation. Because if that's the case and we're not together as a strong unit, then they can now teach us to be whatever we want to. And that kind of goes back to my point. We talk about whether it be the WAP or we talk about the gangster rap or the bad images in media on TV is, hey, if I make the mom work 16 hours a day and the dad is long in the house, even if it's welfare, right? You can't get your welfare if your dad is in the house. Then guess who I get to tell all the information to that is not watched. We talked earlier about watching information, but if both of the parents aren't around because mom's working, dad's gone, then who gets the information on the phone? The kids. So now I can make the kids' mentalities weaker for the future to do what I need to be done. Yeah. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And we can say, hey, you know what? You have your degrees. Yeah. Congratulations. I have this. Let's make this work and make a strong parental unit, because now we can make kings and queens again with our kids.
Well, I got it. Look, and I do have to correct you on one thing. Up until like the you can correct the Census Bureau. Up until the 1970s, the black marriage rate was actually higher than white people. So the fuck shit that's going on now is fairly recent as far as human lifetimes.
Right. You say it's recent. I think it's been going on the whole time. Hold on. I'll say this. I agree with your statement. I'm going to say that I think we rose above it for a while. We had community. We rose above it for a while.
And that's my point. Because we needed each other at the time.
No, I agree with you. We needed community at the time. Yeah. That's why civil rights was so effective. That's why civil rights was so effective, because it was not a problem for a dad to go out or a mom to go out and fight the system. Because if something happened, my community had my family. That doesn't happen nowadays, because we've been so split up, we've been so divisive, we've been so, let's use your word, adversarial toward each other, that doesn't happen. I'm scared to leave my family because I don't know who's going to be there with my kids when I get home.
I have a question. And
before you pose that question, I have a question for Miles. Do you not think that there's competition within a couple as far as... But no.
No, there is.
So when we were talking about women with degrees and
leading with that,
yeah,
like, hi, I'm Kimberly Watkins. I've got a doctorate in such and such. Nice to meet you.
What if you're in a relationship, a marriage, or whatever it may be, an entanglement, however you want to do it, entanglement, and you have a man with a degree, but then you have that woman that she not only just got that 1 degree, maybe she got 2 degrees, maybe she got her master's. Now, do you feel that at some point now this becomes who's the head of the house?
I think so.
I don't think it should be
now, because she has more degrees, it helped her to progress in her job. So she makes the most money.
I'll say this: education and wisdom are not the same thing.
Education and intelligence not either. Yeah. And I'll say, because I've dated, because I'll be honest, I don't have a degree. Yeah. I have 0 degrees. I have no degrees. Yeah.
That's the middle of the group right here. Us.
Right. We're non-degree.
Yeah. The ones that you guys call crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but I'll say this: I've dated with, like, I had a girlfriend not too long ago who had every degree you could think of. She had about 6 of them bitches. Like, she was a doctor, but she was a medical doctor, and like, she had all degrees you could think of. And I've seen women that, but I've seen also women still don't want to be leaders of the household. But they'll be that way if you're not going to step up and be it. Like, we can handle it. But I think ultimately they're looking for someone. That's why they leave with degrees. That's why they look for somebody who has more than, so they don't have to be.
I got a question.
Can I say one thing? I feel like, honestly, you don't have to have a degree in order to be the leader of the household.
Let me ask you.
A woman can have a degree and still respect.
Look. I think mature women understand that.
Exactly.
I think mature women understand that.
Let me ask
the issue for younger.
Let me ask this: is there a perception that a woman can't submit to a man if the woman has more education or makes more money than the man?
It's a perception, but I've seen it happen.
No,
I
think
it's a perception.
It's a perception.
But in reality, I've seen it happen a lot where they're willing to and they want to. I think women don't necessarily want the fight of a man. They don't necessarily want to go out and make those. They want you to make those decisions. They want you to take on those bullets. They don't want to.
This new era doesn't, though. And I unfortunately, I can say that I know a few women that they really are, unfortunately, the head of their house because they make all the money. And though I was, brought up old school, so, the way I was taught, it doesn't matter who makes the money.
It's all going the same place.
It's a happy home.
Right.
You're just trying to make a happy home. So you can make less than me, doesn't diminish your manhood take away from who you are as the head of the house. If you have children, they should still respect the same process. But this era of women, or this generation of women, they're like, I make all the money, I do this, I do this, I do that, this and that. I control this household. So now we lose value in our men.
Right. So that was my next point. Is that a substitution for, or is that presented as a substitution for masculinity? Or
great question.
Yeah. Is it a substitution for, I can't get the type of guy I want, so I'm going to lead with my degree and get the guy that I can kind of maybe hold that over? Because I've seen that quite a bit too. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Look, I want to ask this
because when I'm sitting around with guys, and I've been out on a dating scene. We've all been out there, and I've never had a conversation.
I've never
with a
been
guy.
out there.
I've never been out there. He's always been an upstanding citizen. Got married when he was 17, but
15. Oh damn!
So, yeah, he knew what he wanted the minute he was there. So I've never been out.
Congratulations.
with guys, and he said, "Hey, you know what? I met this woman." And she's got 2 degrees, and I think she's the one.
Here, let me.
Have you ever? I've never.
I have.
Really?
No, I know someone who he was dating this girl for 8 years and wouldn't marry her until she got a degree. Like he found her freshman year of college, but like he would not marry her until she got a degree. And the reason he
a player, he was trying to look.
No, it wasn't about playing. Like his dad told him, don't ever marry with somebody without a degree. And his dad didn't have a degree. He got his, and he was like, I'm not marrying anybody without one. That was a standard for him. And he's been married, God knows, almost 20 years.
Let me ask you this, and I want to throw this to Jay.
But it ain't been happy.
And I'm gonna ask you, Jay.
And that's the question.
Now let me ask you this, Jay, because we talk about this on a personal level, and with all of us. Is this a Eurocentric way of thinking? Because when we think about hold on, give me a second. When we think about black women, some of the most powerful people in history have been black women.
Right.
Before we start talking about the construct of what we look at as marriage now.
Right.
Nefertiti. You see what I'm saying?
No degree.
We could go back. So Jay, are we looking at this? Are we coming? We peeling back the onion right now. Are we looking at this from a Eurocentric standpoint when we come to the women?
I think so. It's what we've been taught. And I can only speak for myself, but the only thing I got married at 31. So the only thing I knew when I wanted to get married to somebody was that they were a hustler like me.
Right.
I knew that's what I wanted,
right.
First of all. But here's the catch. I was willing to make those sacrifices to maintain that type of woman, right? I was willing to help in the kitchen, cook. I was willing to help with the kids.
Are we caught the Europeans?
I don't say that. No, I think the Europeans have taught us to be this way. But if you look at the way the Europeans work, those women don't have degrees like that. Right. They ain't going after it like that. They not holding those men to those same standards like that. They're taught to be wives and control and to be mothers of their children and have a household. And look, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the men. I'm talking about the women. The women in those situations don't do that.
Look, you touched on something really good earlier. You talked about the guy who, like, she's got to have a degree, but he said he wasn't happy.
He wasn't. He's still not happy.
And that's my initial question is to say, okay, on the one hand, she has a degree. Is that a substitute for not being cooperative, not being nice or pleasant to be around?
You still have
not
to
being feminine.
You still have to earn the respect regardless.
Well, I got a degree, but I'm held to be around. I'm held to deal with. I don't shave under my arms. Whatever.
Look, I'm not on no Derek Jackson shit. I'm just being honest, right? So we have to remember in America, women weren't allowed to vote. You see what I'm saying? So we came up with a perception of how we should treat women off of a Eurocentric way of doing
and
things.
Black men were never able to prevent black women from voting.
Early 1900s, black men, we couldn't, but we've acquiesced to what we've been taught by other people. Women weren't allowed to vote. So if we go back and we look in time, how many women had degrees? They weren't even going to school. It wasn't even looked at like, you know what, this woman could go to school, she could create something, but now that they can, do we adjust with the times, or do we stay antiquated?
That's the key.
You do what works.
We should adjust, and I'm gonna wrap this up.
So yeah, you don't say okay.
I'm gonna wrap this up right now. I'm gonna wrap this up right now because
yeah, go ahead.
Give Champ the mic.
Fuck that. Let me tell you. I'm just speaking from my perspective.
This is our director.
the director has stepped
This is
in.
our director.
28 years, 27 years of marriage. My wife has a degree. I don't have a degree. Am I treated as a head of household? Absolutely.
Right.
Does that mean I do my part? Absolutely.
You've adjusted.
The key is you have to adjust and not be in your feelings as men. I'm going to state it what it is. Men, stop being in your feelings and said, oh, my wife makes more than me and I'm not shit. Bullshit. You're still the head of the household. You can still do what you need to do to be the head of the household, even though you don't have the degree or your wife is making more money than you, because that doesn't matter.
But what do you do with the man that everything you've said is great, but you have that woman that's knocking on his head like you ain't shit because I'm shit.
Hold up. Here's what you do. Find another woman.
If she say she the shit because you ain't shit, what does that mean?
That means you find another woman.
I blame him. He chose her.
He chose to stay.
At the end of the day, that woman will not do that unless that man allows her to do that.
So
wait a minute.
Steps up as the head of the household and does what he's supposed to do. She's not going to even worry about her being the head of the household.
Champ, this the other side of the coin. We got a lot of weak ass men.
Facts.
I agree with that.
We got a lot of weak ass men.
You do, and that's on the men.
And that's what changes the trajectory of good men are the weak ass men.
Okay, but do we blame it on the women?
No.
We don't blame it on the women.
Somebody is producing these weak men in Spades. Somebody is.
Who taught that? Who taught that? Because we learned, as we've been talking, we learned everything from our parents, our grandparents, the past, history, everything. So who taught these men to be weak?
Assimilation. Assimilation has taught us to be weak. And I put that on.
Thank you.
Like, assimilation has taught us to be weak.
Thank you.
I ain't gonna lie to you. That's the bottom line.
But that's a new thing. I mean, you go back and look at
assimilation is not new. Assimilation is 30 years old.
It's been coming
right
in progressions.
New.
The weakness is new.
Everything tells us
the bitch asses is new.
Let me tell you something. America is set out to ruin the black man. Whether we ruin you with drugs, whether we ruin you with police, whether we ruin you with education, or whether we ruin fatherless homes. Agree. We talk about it all the time. Whether we ruin you with the fact of just teaching you that you are not shit.
And you see it every day.
You see it every day. Into the
That's why you got to have the strong mindset. So, like me, I say to myself, you know what? I'm fucking awesome. Why? It don't work on me.
Well
hold on. We got to wrap this up because we'll be here all night talking this.
It's a great topic.
No, it's an amazing topic. We could do a whole show on this alone.
We might have to do a whole show. This might be a whole show.
But it comes down to this, and I'll say this in a heartbeat. Women, I give y'all all the credit in the world. Because through all those times that we've talked about, whether it be slavery or Jim Crow, or whatever era y'all have held us down, y'all have been here for us. Y'all have made sure that we had a warm home to come to, a nice meal to eat, and make sure and try to talk life into us. Thing is this, guys, if you can't accept that, find a woman that you want to be with. If not, be on your own. Right. Don't tear down more women because you can't handle the woman that she is. And I think that's where we have to be. I think that's where the America wants us to stay, but we got to get out of that. And we got to understand that, we love y'all. Y'all love us. Y'all have raised our children.
Better together.
We didn't raise our children. Whether we like the way you raise them or not, you raised them. And like you said, we better together and we make families. We got to have strong families that actually.
Miles.
And we're not competitors.
No.
We're not competitors.
We're fighting the same uphill battles.
And I'm going to say this personally. This is a personal thing. I think we should have the ladies in the conversation. So I'm going to say something and we pass it around, do what we do. Our director is right there. He give us direction. And I heard you speak on this in the past. So somebody like me, I came up on the West Coast. And what we heard is bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. All we heard is it's all on the bitch. Get your money out of bitch. So we learn to disrespect women not as popular culture, not as a subculture.
It goes back to the 70s.
Right. But see, I saw through the bullshit. because I looked at the
but
rap
most
videos.
Of us don't though.
I know that's what I'm trying. That's why we're here to educate.
That's what I say.
Everybody that's on rap videos popping bottles, pouring champagne.
That's
Dr. Dre wife ain't out there. He ain't pouring champagne on her.
But as we get older and as we maturate in age,
who pour champagne on his wife?
We have to give acknowledgement to the things that we've seen and where it's gotten us. So we can see why women act like the certain way that we might not like it. I don't like it.
It's like the R. Kelly thing. When I was 19, 17, when that shit came out, I knew pissing on chicks was wrong. You don't do that.
But that was
I didn't have to wait till now that I'm 40, I realized pissing on women is wrong.
No, but
I knew it was wrong, but I didn't realize the gravity of it.
I realized the gravity of it.
Here's the deal, though. Individually, and this is not a black thing, it's not a white thing, this is a people thing. Individuals are extremely intelligent. As a group of people, we're dumb as shit, and we will follow whatever is put in front of us. That's why I couldn't get mad at WAP. I can't get mad at WAP if I'm not. First of all, I'm lying. I did get mad at WAP, but I only got mad at WAP because I can also get mad at the other shit that the guys put out at the same time. Mm-hmm. I went back and listened to I go back and listen to all the stuff we listened to back in the 90s, NWA, UGK, all that shit. It was terrible to women.
How hard is that for you as a man to be honest about that?
It's not. You know why it's not hard for me to be honest about the shit? Is because you do that shit to my mama, we gonna fight. You do that shit to my sister, we gonna fight. We do that shit to my daughter, we gonna fight. If you're not willing to accept that and what you said, it goes for women too. You say that shit about black men, then don't be mad when somebody treats your brother, your father, or your son the same way. You say that stuff about black women, don't be mad when somebody treats your wife, your mother, or your daughter the same way. At some point in time, we got to understand that, look, it's out against all of us. And we all fighting the same uphill battle. Right. And at some point in time, we do this shit together and quit fighting each other because there's enough fight to go around.
Right. And that's why I said, beating each other over our heads with, well, I did this, or I got this degree, or I have this accomplishment. You know what? It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat, and you get further working together than fighting each other or having a dick measuring contest with your women. There's no civilization that became great because they were having a pissing contest with their women.
No civilization became great without a woman.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, and I'm gonna let Chris end it. I'm gonna put this on Chris end it, but before I do, I'll tell you this. Name me a strong man, black or white, powerful man, black or white, successful man, black or white, without a strong woman on his side, and we'll figure it out. Because I don't know one.
And as Miles said, what I'm getting ready to say is the same exact thing. There is no man in the world that would do anything without the black woman. Right. You can say what you want, but you need to humble yourself as black men and say, you know what? You can say what you want as black men, strong black men, because every one of them will tell you that are married in here right now. So when my wife says this stuff, I'm going to listen to her. I might not want to say, hey, you're right. But I'm going to listen to her, and I'm going to do what the hell she says, and that's going to be what it is.
I did, too. I heard it.
I want to say this because I know it's a lot of people, especially men, going to be like, y'all just putting on your capes. Captain Save-A-Hole. That's not the case. We just keeping it 100.
Keep it 100. Yo, I say this all day, man. And I'll put this on the women, too. Accountability. Don't take that fuck shit from these dudes at all. So you tell me to put my cape on, you want to.
Don't take it from the women either.
Real shit.
Right on. Crissy.
Yeah.
Don't subscribe to OnlyFans.
Hold on. Moral of the story, Chris. You to finish out this long ass segment on your. What's the moral to the story? Like you put the exclamation point on the shit on the Sticks and Shit Talk.
Give us some game.
Come on, you smoke your stick. Now talk your shit.
Okay. Moral to the story is don't worry about if she leads with her degree, because to me, it doesn't matter if that's her accomplishment. That's what she wants to define herself as. That's fine. If men lead with what they want and they make it more of a physical thing, and they reduce their their pool of women that they have access to, then a woman can do the same thing. If her thing is a degree, then fine, so be it. That's her bad. She's missing out on things. The main thing is, I'm gonna say one thing that I always heard Saran say is, find you a woman that speaks to the king in you. Don't find you that woman that wants to push what her accomplishments are to define her, So look for that. That way you don't end up in a relationship with a woman with degrees but treat you like shit.
Exactly.
Hey man, shout out to my wife. Right on. That's all I wanted to say.
Shout out, baby.
Yo, it's been dope. It's been dope, man. I want to thank my man for letting us come in and take over his crib all night And shout out to Manny Fresh for giving us the show before the show. But last and foremost, man, we done talked our shit and we done smoked our sticks. Make sure you do the same thing before you see you next time. Peace.